Well, we have been treating the lovely Michelle to a makeover today, and here's a photo of her before, and here she is now, looking absolutely beautiful. And by the way, makeovers are just, you know, we just enhance the natural beauty that the person already has, right, Michelle?
Thank you.
So how are you, my lovely?
I'm fine, thank you.
Did you enjoy your makeover?
Yes, it was a lovely experience. So I've had makeovers done before,
Yeah.
but had a good chat with the makeup artist.
She's lovely, isn't she?
She's very good, yeah.
Okay. So Michelle, I know you have a lovely smile now, and
Thank
you know, you're doing so well in life, but there were some serious things that you went through that really brought you down at one point in your life.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what happened?
Yeah, let's take you back to 2009. And 2009, I was seemingly in a happy marriage. Father to my child, my daughter, who's now 11. But back then, I was working in HR. He was working for the local council as a youth worker. Everything seemed to be fine. Nice house, jobs, money, you know, everything seemed to be idyllic. Then I remember getting a phone call and he said, "Oh, Michelle, I've been suspended from work." I'm working in HR, so I know if you're being suspended on the spot, it's not going to be a small thing here. Okay. So I said to him, you know, what for? And he was saying, "Oh, I was accused of doing something to a young girl." So I said, "What are you talking about?" And so and part of me was like, but this is my husband, so, and I know him, and I know that he wouldn't do anything like this.
How long have you been married
by that time we were married 2.5 years.
Okay.
2.5 years by then. And then the other side of me was like, but why would someone accuse you of that? We went to church, and we went to a big, well-known church at the time. And then all this news started filtering. And then you would hear it in the church. I tell you the one bit that really struck a chord for me, and which made things all the more worse. It was then reported in the news. It was in the newspapers, it was on ITV News. I remember I was going to the loo, someone called me and said, "Michelle, you need to put it on ITV News." I rushed out, and there it was there, you know, what he was accused of, and I just said my whole world was falling apart in front of me. Everything that I thought I knew, I didn't know. So
did you actually believe him initially, or did you have that kind of doubt when it was first sort of brought up?
I actually believed him, because my thing is, I know you. We've known each other for so many years. You know, how did this come about? Now, the thing is, in hindsight, there were like texts. I'd seen texts, but the texts, the content of the texts were never bad, but there was consistent texts to young girls. And it was at all weird times. So it'd be at 10 at night, it would be 2 p.m. when we were in church. So I saw that pattern, but seeing that pattern and then hearing that your husband's accused of molesting children, I still couldn't put the two together. And I just felt like my whole world was caving in, especially when it went on the news. Then I can't remember, another 6 or 7 people came forward. And these are all different people. And I'm just like, how is there some truth in it? And, you know, even until this day, I'm still like, what's going on? How did this come about? There was so much more I feel that I could have done. And I lived in a lot of guilt, because I remember on one occasion I was in court, and one of the girls said that I invited her back round to the house, which I did. And while I was putting my daughter to sleep, he was molesting her in my kitchen. And I sat there in court, and I just thought, I just need the world to swallow me up. I just didn't want to be here. I just didn't want to have to deal with this. I'm thinking, oh my God, I played a part in this. And I have a heart for everybody. I have a heart for young people. And I'm thinking, but Michelle, why didn't you see the signs? Why didn't you do something about it? So I then, on top of the pressure I was already under, trying to be the dutiful wife, then I put myself under pressure and saying, you know, feeling guilty and not... And for me, it destroyed who I really was. It really impacted who I was.
Well, the signs, like, because we actually had a guest on recently, Michelle, and she actually now works, which it was Marilyn from Enough Abuse UK, and she also spoke about sort of missing vital signs, and her three boys were being abused by their headmaster. It was her best friend, and they knew each other for years. But it's only when sort of you hear something that you find out something, and later you sort of think, oh yeah, I did notice maybe this, but at the time you don't. But it's like then you end up feeling really guilty when actually most people would have missed those signs.
Yeah, and I remember at the time I used to sing, I used to be really active in church, and I was studying, and I just couldn't do absolutely anything. I just thought, there's so many people watching me. I went to Singing Spirits with my mum, and I remember seeing these two ladies. His picture was on the front of the newspaper, and they were saying, oh, he should be castrated, he should be this. And I'm thinking, this is my life that the whole world is now talking about, and I didn't know the best way to deal with it. And there was times where I just wanted out. I just wanted out. And then obviously I had my daughter to contend with, to be the best mother I could for her, and I wasn't. At that point, I just couldn't, because I couldn't even look after myself.
So by this point, he'd already moved on, been arrested?
Yeah, so he was on bail.
Okay.
And he in bail outside of London. And the whole incident impacted me quite badly, because at the time I would travel up to see him where he was, take my daughter, and the whole effect just irritated my bladder. So I couldn't do long journeys, because I would just wet myself. Just so many bad things, little things happened as well. And I just thought, you know what, I can't do this. And although I had my friends, family, and they pulled me through. But at that time, it was the deepest, the darkest place, knowing that you've gone from here, happily married, to right down there. And in between, there's all these children who's now been affected by it for the rest of their lives. And for me, I felt like my daughter and I were the invisible victims. You've got the main victims who were the targets, but for me it was like, what about me? I remember being at court and they were saying, oh, we need someone to testify, and nobody asked me how I felt about it all. Nobody. And obviously, well, in my opinion, other people, the neighbours probably knew about it. The woman who lived next door to me worked for the Sun newspaper. Oh, wow. I had someone put a brick through my window. Yeah. So it was a lot to do with, because you found that it was shocking news. You felt betrayed, obviously, by your ex as well. But also, you did love the man at the end of the day. So it's like you're also losing a partner, regardless of what he'd done. But you had still built up that trust and that relationship with him, and there was that separation from him as well. Definitely. So it was so many things all together. So some people watching this might think, my God, how would you be able to pull through something like that? How did you start rebuilding your life and then doing what you're doing today? Well, I can remember the incident. It was like a trigger. I was at church, and the preacher must have said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I've heard this many times before, but that particular Sunday, it just switched something. It's like, Michelle, you are not to blame. You are not to blame. You have not changed. You're still the loving person, the loving mother that you've always been. But now it's time to live again. And that's what the message said to me. And I thought, no, I can't stay here. I can't do this, because I'm not setting a great example to my daughter. And if this is how we deal with things that don't go right in our lives. And I think through friends, I had some really, really fantastic friends that had supported me every day when I was going to the court. They were there holding my hands. My aunt and my mum. My mum, definitely, she's been my rock throughout. And people think, oh, you two are such best friends. But she knows where I was when I couldn't get out of bed, when I would come out of the bath, look at myself naked and just break down. And I remember carrying in the corner of the bathroom. But, when I look at where I was before and where I am now, it's a big change.
Big change. Well, you've been through a lot, sweetheart, I know. And it's great that you've come through it, because obviously, you don't forget the past, you don't forget what's happened. But the remarkable thing is that you did. Welcome back to today's program, everyone. And before the break, I was speaking to the lovely Michelle Raymond, who was very open to speak about some really, really tough times that she went through. But as I always say on the show, we like to show you stories where people have been through difficult times but have managed to turn their lives around, because we want to inspire you and show you that it's always possible to turn your lives around. So Michelle, before the break, obviously you told us your personal story, but now you have your own business.
I do.
Now, a lot of people sometimes they get very stressed and they go through a lot of mental health issues due to their business. What's the best way? There's some tips you can give our viewers to keep mentally strong while having your own business and trying to reach the top.
I would say one of the things is to pace yourself. The problem is people leave the confines of employment where they have a network of people, they have someone who directs their work, and then you're moving away from that comfort to something new, never tried it before, never done it before, where you're now the marketing person, you're the accountant, you're the PR, you're everything. And you only did it because you wanted to live your passion and your dream, and you end up doing other things. But I found during what I'm doing, I need to pace myself. So take time out for yourself and realign with your true purpose and get back to what you love to do, which may mean you may have to outsource some of your work. And that comes with another trial, trying to manage all these other disciplines. But I think you stick to what you're good at. Don't try to be everything. Be good at one thing. And I think self-mastery is definitely key. So many people want to help everybody, but you can't help everybody. We can't all change the world, but you change one person, and one person changes another person, then that's how we help and the whole world. But be good at one thing. I think self-mastery is definitely a good thing. Another good thing in terms of your mental well-being is network. And I've spoken a lot about this, and I speak a lot about it in my business. I do the coaching and I do the HR. I think network is very, very important, and it's got to be trusted advisors, people that will elevate you and your business. So you have your peer-to-peer, and people who think like you, do the same thing like you, but they don't push you. They're your maintenance friends. And they're great, they're fine. They're probably people that you've grown up with, and they'll just always support you, always share your posts, always have something good to say, but they're not at that position to take you forward. Then the second level is your circle of influence, your key people of influence. Now these are the people who are not necessarily your friends, but they will push you to the next level. They will open up the way, not stand in your way. These are the people that will show you different experiences of the world. They might have so much insight that you're sitting there and you think, gosh, so they could be a mentor, they could be a coach, they could be somebody who's just done what you wish to do. But I think it's really important to tap into that knowledge, leverage that and use it for good, definitely.
Brilliant. Michelle, thank you so much. And just one last question that I would like. This one is specifically for our viewers that are watching, that are going through a hard time. What would you say to someone now that's watching that has been through something really, really bad in their life, and they're thinking that they can't pull themselves out? What would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is open up and speak up. You need to speak to somebody. Too many times you just feel like nobody else is experiencing what I'm experiencing, or they feel, oh, I should be able to cope with this because I am who I am. But that also debilitates you. But you need to be able to speak up and speak to somebody, anyone, just get it. Once you get it out, it's easier to deal with, so much easier to deal with.
I agree. Michelle, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and also those tips for us. And all the best with what you're doing.
Thank you very much.